So as we know here in Canada, and specifically where I am in BC, it's an extremely expensive province, and when that comes to rent, that's no surprise. So we can look on the right here. We show that the top 10 one bedroom medium rent prices. So it comes at no surprise. Obviously, that Vancouver's number one at $1,950. But also here we have the top 10 in Canada. So we have Toronto, Burnaby, Bear, Ontario, Victoria, Oshawa, Ontario, Kelowna, Ottawa, Kitchener, and Montreal. So this is all about whether you're exiting high school and you want to go to university out of province or in a different state than when you grew up in, or you're skipping, you don't want to do post secondary, you want to enter the workforce right away. Based off these prices, it's kind of gives us more of a realization of what we can afford. So if you're planning, you're from Vancouver and you want to do school in Montreal, $1,280 for one bedroom isn't too bad. Just got to make sure you can budget effectively and that you can afford it. And, we have to understand that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. So if you cannot afford, to rent that one bedroom in Montreal, you're going to have to be willing to live with roommates, whether that's one, two, or three, or even more, depending on the size of your apartment. So that's kind of the first step of budgeting. Renting or housing is going to be our number one cost. So we have to make sure, we live in a place we can afford and that we can not just pay this month's rent, but pay next month's and the year's rent effectively. So now we're going to go over a couple of living expenses, some of the more common ones. When it comes to like housing, the most common one is most probably, obviously your rent, and then you have utilities. Now, if you're in university, a lot of places you're going to rent are going to come with, your rent's going to include utilities itself, but it also might not. You might be paying $2,000 a month in rent for, a one bedroom, and maybe an extra $50 to $100 a month on the side for utilities. That may vary month by month depending on the type of year and the seasons. So some basic living expenses that we have to know and budget are going to be number one, internet and cable. Now, internet's extremely common. Everything we do is honestly run by the internet nowadays. It's whether it's for education or fun, the internet is a must, and we definitely do need it. And it's not free. If you're living in high school, living at home, you're used to just logging onto the internet and not even worrying about it. But as I say, once you graduate and you move into the real world, whether that's post secondary or the workforce, you're going to be your expenses are going to increase quite a bit, and internet is going to be one of the most important ones. Now, cable itself is pretty obsolete nowadays. Not too many people have it. I'm one of my only friends I know that still has cable in their family. But we can kind of replace cable here and put subscription services. So whether that's Apple Music, Netflix, Hulu, anything like that, you're going to want to keep track of that and all of for your living expenses. We have our cell phone bill. If you're in high school, you're probably not paying your own bill. Your parents are probably coming for you. But when that time comes that we all dread, when they kick you off the family plan, you got to start paying for yourself. It's a bill we don't even realize right now because, most of our parents are paying for it. But when that time comes, you're going to be in charge of it and you're going to have to budget effectively to be able to afford and pay for your plan. Electricity, as I always say, you just go home, you turn on your TV, you turn on the lights, don't even think about it. But when you move out, that's not the same. You're going to have to pay for your electricity and, be cautious. You don't leave this is when you kind of, become an adult. You don't leave all the lights on all day. You turn them off because you're actually, wary of this bill that you have to pay now. Then we have water, heating, and gas. Obviously, essentials. In the winter, you need your heating and you need water every day, whether that's to drink, shower, or wash your clothes. Now, we got a couple more expenses that, a lot of people forget, especially when they're in high school or just living at home. Food, obviously, it's essential. We need to eat when you're in high school or, you're just living at home. Food kind of just appears in the fridge and on, in the cabinets, but obviously someone's paying for that, and that's most likely your parents. Number two, transportation. We have gas, car insurance and public transportation, whether you have a bus pass or you have a car and you're paying maintenance on your car or the car insurance, replacing your tires every year, your brake pads. Got to keep track of this and budget for it. And last, we have personal care, toiletries, and other miscellaneous items. Sometimes when you're in high school, shampoo is just going to be in the shower, but when you move out, that's not going to be the same thing. You're going to have to keep track of how much you use, how much you spend,